Hey guys, this is the Interactive Cubers podcast. I'm Carlin, and with me is Jeffrey.
Hello.
And a very special guest. Shawn, why don't you do your intro? Like, hey, this is Shawn here from blah blah blah.
Hey, Shawn here from SpeedCubeReview.com.
There we go.
There we go. Cool. Yeah. Hello. So thank you so much for coming. I mean, it's like we have had like random cubers on, which is a whole one other person. But
I'm a random
on,
cuber though. So
no, you're not a random cuber. But like having you on is kind of crazy. Like when Carlin thought of the idea, I'm like, yeah, we should go like email or spam Shawn from Secret Review to annoy him to get on here. I'm like, okay, that's not gonna work. And then okay, we're here. So never.
Yeah, like
that to happen.
we were contacting each other like even a couple months ago, and we were both so busy, and it's crazy that we actually got to happen.
Yeah.
In fact, when I started this podcast, like you were like one of my goals to have on the podcast because you are my very favorite YouTuber.
Oh, thank you. Well, goal achieved. So podcast is over after this, I guess.
Well, yep. There you go. Season ends. We're done.
And done.
Well, that's the podcast for today.
There you go.
All right. So I do have to do one disclaimer.
Yeah.
So our podcast is no longer on iTunes or Podcast Addict or whatever Android platform you use.
Because we're too broke to pay for it.
And it was going to be a monthly fee, and we thought the free trial was going to work for us, and then it was...
Psych.
Long story short, it's not going to work. So it's just on YouTube. We had some people like, why is it not on these other platforms? And
because we are
maybe
broke.
Someday we'd get like a Patreon thing set up, but no one would give us money at this point.
There is a free way to get it onto iTunes, but it's tricky. Like, I'm pretty tech savvy, and it took me, I think, like a full week of just tinkering around to figure out how to make it work. So I'll talk to you guys later about that.
Oh, cool.
All right, cool.
Thanks. Cool. All right, so basically the way we do this is, I don't know if you listen to it, but we just ask and we just talk about anything cubing related, and sometimes it's not cubing related. Like one time we talked like 10 minutes about McDonald's, so...
Yeah,
which actually, so quickly about that, I don't usually eat McDonald's because I'm a semi-vegetarian. I'm vegetarian, I'm just really bad at it. But the drinks, like the Coke is always just disgusting there. And I was like, maybe it's just weird water where I live and they're using that. But no, I guess apparently that's the good Coca-Cola. So that's scary. Like, I'll take the bad stuff. I'll take RC over that.
Oh, RC.
Did you actually listen to the other episodes?
Yeah, well, I listened to the last one. I listened to, I think, all of the second one. I didn't listen to the first one.
Dedication.
The first one was the worst one, and I don't know if you heard it, but I don't know which episode this was in, but Carlin thinks $1. Well, wait, you said something is a tenth of a penny.
A penny is a
Yeah, penny's a tenth of a dollar. That was
I think that's never gonna die. It's gonna be
that's
in
gonna
every
be
episode.
Always here, and that's gonna bother
I
you.
do have two things about so I have one question from a previous episode and one thing to add. So I'll do the one to add first, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Okay, so this is about parody on a Fisher Cube. It is not parody. This is kind of my big thing of like making sure people know what words mean. So parody does not mean something just can't be solved like normal. Like that's what I used to think. I was like, yeah, it's 4x4 parody because it can't be solved like a normal 3x3. But no, parody just means odd or even. So things have even parity or odd parity. And what that's referring to is the number of pieces that are swapped. So, for example, a 3x3 has all even parity because every algorithm you do or movement swaps an even number of or it does an even number of swaps. So like an H perm is 2 edges swapped. Even like a U perm technically is two pairs of edges swapped.
Okay.
So yeah, so something like a 4x4 OLL parity would be more specific odd parity. I guess PLL could technically be even parity, but that's the game. So so a Fisher Cube it still has, I guess, even parity like all 3x3s do, but when you have an edge that's flipped, you could call it a false equivalence because it looks like a parity even though it's not. So that's my whole spiel with that. I have a video on that because I got really upset. But then at the end of the video, I'm like, if enough people say the definition of it incorrectly, does that become a new definition in itself?
Oh my god. I'm sorry, my brain is starting to hurt over here.
Okay, so I'll go to the other thing that I want to bring up. I don't know who said it, but someone just casually said, Everyone saw us 5x5 on the way to a music
That
lesson.
was Carlin.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jeffrey's the
What?
one who did it, and then I was like, because he was like, "Oh yeah, because that's what everyone does." I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, everybody does it," and yeah, that's where I was going with that because I was being sarcastic.
Okay, because I'm a music teacher, so I was like, does everyone do this? And I just don't know. Should be telling me about this.
We're just secretly doing it, dude. We can't tell anyone. It's our secret. Don't tell the teachers. So
Okay.
I since I am very unprepared, I only have like officially 2 questions. One
I
of them
lost.
is I hope there's some elaborate answer to this, but how did you come up with this giveaway idea? Like most of the giveaways,
Yes.
are, oh, subscribe to me because I'm greedy. But you like, oh, you need to become like Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, so I guess like when I started doing I'm gonna make this a long answer for you.
Oh dang it.
Because the website came first, and so my big thing I was like, well, I'll get people to the website, and YouTube was like an afterthought, and actually I didn't want to do YouTube. I was like, I told people I was like, I'm not doing YouTube at all, and
boy.
so whenever I did some giveaways, I was like, okay, go to SpeedCubeReview.com and then fill out this. So the whole thing was a ploy to get people to the website. That was really it. And I've done giveaways where it was like leave a comment and then I'll pick a winner. But what happens with that is it's hard to contact people because some people don't have Messenger set up on YouTube. I don't even know how to specifically do it, but some people you can message and some people you can't. So sometimes I'll do Gleam, but then people are like, well, I don't have Facebook, so I can't click a share thing. And so some people got annoyed when it was just click to enter. So I usually have fun with this because not only is it a little more elaborate, but people hopefully learn something out of it and get something from doing that research. And also, it's not, I mean, if I do a gift card, that's easy. That's just digital. I can just send that. Yeah. And sometimes stores might sponsor and say, oh, this giveaway is from SpeedCube Shop, something like that. But since this was my own puzzles that I have to ship out, I'm like, okay, people need to work for this because I am losing money in this end. I'm not like, the amount of views that I got does not pay for the shipping of that. So especially the main person who won, I like made sure to say, this cube's going to Malaysia, and so I had to go to the post office and be like, I need a customs form to send something to Malaysia. And gave me a very confused look, and I was like, no, it's okay. They're cubes.
And they're like,
it's a bomb.
What cube?
The person, he wanted the person from Malaysia wanted I can't pronounce his name. I apologize for just saying the person from Malaysia. He wanted the Oolongs, the V2, and then the Mini, which is a V1.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm jealous. I want those cubes. I was reading the winners video. I'm like, I wasn't even close. I only got 2 of them right.
Which ones did you get?
The Zanchi and the Wailong. That's the only ones I got right.
Most people, like, Wailong was the hardest one.
Okay, what? I don't understand now.
Well, because I mean, I don't know why so many people didn't get the Shingsho Legend for that first one, because I was like, here's the sale. That's a big sale. I don't have more than one. And then a lot of people got the 60mm sale. The Oolong GT threw some people for a loop. That was kind of difficult.
I thought it was like a GTS 2 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of the difficult one. But most people got the Zanchis, and then the Shingsho Linglong, the mini one. A lot of people got that. A lot of people just said Shingsho Mini. I've kind of counted it because by the time I got to the end, there was like, 2 people that had that. But the Wailong, some people thought maybe it was a Thunderclap or thought that it was any other kind of puzzle. A lot of people didn't really get that it was a little bit smaller than some of the other ones. So that it was
I just kind of guessed randomly. I'm like, okay, I'm just like, it's probably going to be a Thunderclap, but that'd be kind of easy. So I'm just going to guess something random. Apparently it was right.
But yeah, so I think I really don't care so much about getting people to the site. I mean, it's sort of self-sustaining right now with just people finding it on Google searches. But it was just more of, it's an easy way. Also, it's an easy way to get people's email address, so I can just contact them that way instead of trying to get it
YouTube
through
Messenger.
Yes, exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah. Plus, someone did try to scam me once with
Wait, what?
With YouTube, like someone said they were the person when they actually weren't. They just sort of like pretended to be that person and like sent me a message. And I was like, well, okay, that's probably true. And I sent the cube out, and like a day later, after I sent it out, the person contacted me that actually did win. I was like, wait a second. And I I paid like I paid a ton of money to get the package turned around. Like it was more money to turn it around than it would have been for me to like purchase a new puzzle. But I was like
Yeah.
I was really upset that this person did this. And when I called him out, he wrote back an email like, "Oh, I thought I just figured I'd try it. LOL. Keep up the good work." And I was like, "No, no, no. You tried just stealing this person's puzzle. Like you can't. This isn't a funny thing." And
Laugh out
The
loud.
good work.
yeah, I tore him like in an email, and he never replied back. So I was,
He
yeah,
probably doing crying to his mom. That's hilarious. Oh, keep up the good work. I'm just trying to see if I can scam you out of a Rubik's Cube.
yeah.
That's like the worst thing to scam someone out of. Like, if you're gonna scam someone out of anything, just don't do it for a Rubik's Cube. Like, that's the lamest thing.
I get because I teach lessons and things like that. I'll and play at weddings, and I get a lot of people that write me off of Craigslist because I'll list that I teach lessons on Craigslist, and it's surprisingly a good place to do that. Although you get a lot of scams, and the scams are hilarious because it's always poorly written. And you probably pull up an email now that I got recently, and it's always something along the lines of, "My son will be in your area. Please calculate 3 hours a day, 4 days a week for 2 months, and we will send over a check to." And it's this elaborate thing, and I don't even understand how it works. I think someone told me that you'll cash the check, and then they'll want something back, like they sent you too much or something. But then the check they sent never actually goes through, but the bank doesn't know for a few days. It's this elaborate thing, and it's I try sometimes write them and ask, is this really a good living? Like, how do you? But no one ever writes back. I'm
'Cause they
really
got caught and
wondering.
they don't want to get exposed.
Yeah.
All right, Carlin, do you have a question before I waste my last
Yeah.
one?
Sean, let's talk about Nintendo.
Yes.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
so I am a huge Nintendo fan, and no one understands that. And then I heard you were on a podcast with it was on your podcast with DJ Cubes, and he said he was too, and mainly Mario Kart. I just have like the original Wii, but I love Mario Kart so much, and Nintendo's the best thing ever. So,
No.
what do you have to say about that?
Good question.
No.
Especially Birdo, right? Your
So
character,
I like what's that?
Birdo.
Oh yeah, Birdo is amazing. I
have no
I'm
idea
so
what you
upset.
two were talking about. I'm a PC gamer over here.
Okay, so
I'm
I'll
not-
just describe Birdo. Do you know Yoshi?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know Yoshi. Be proud of me.
Imagine if Yoshi was pink with a bow, and it's in the non-existent hair, baby. But then instead of a nose, it's a big like
Listen.
you know those old-timey rifles that flare at the end,
Oh yeah.
like that. But also instead of shooting bullets, it shoots seeds. Okay, so that's Birdo.
Birdo.
This makes no
Yeah.
sense.
I'm
Now-
lost.
I even today I was listening to a Nintendo IGN's Nintendo podcast, and I've been staying up to date. Although I don't own a Switch, I really want one, but I need to get a new computer, and so I don't want to buy a Switch before I get that. Although they've been leaking the new Pokemon game, and that during E3, I think they said they're probably going to unveil it, and if it's good, I'm buying a
yeah.
Switch for that. There's actually I just been paying attention to everything, and everyone's talking about Zelda, and I went to, I feel like I've told this story at some point on the channel for some reason,
I
but
don't think so.
I was at a Target, and they had, where the controllers, and you just play the games. I was like, okay, I'm gonna play a little bit of Zelda and the Breath of the Wild, and so I'm like walking on the grass, like, oh, the graphics are okay. And then I was like, I'm gonna climb that hill, and I climbed, and I fell down, and I climbed again. I finally get to the top of it, and like you just see the entire world. I'm sure there's a bunch more than just that. And like I got chills, like, this is what it's about. This is why everyone's loving this game. And I like went to my wife, who was over another section of the store, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a Switch at some point. It's just gonna happen, and I'm just warning you.
Yeah, I'm so lost because I've never played a Nintendo game in my life. So every time I say like, "Oh, Mario Kart," I'm like, "What the heck is Mario Kart?"
Dude.
It's like Call of Duty, but not.
That made no sense. It's like,
Birdo.
it's
Say it's
like
like
this,
anything,
but it's
but
not. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's Nintendo's one of the things that's like they know what they're doing. Usually whenever they do something, it might be like look like it's presented for a younger generation, but it works. Like everything, I mean, even Mario Kart. I mean, it's not going to look like Forza, but it functions so well, and it just everything. It's also, I mean, when I was a kid, I played the NES, and it wasn't like I played NES because it was the not what's the word I'm looking for. Not because like all my parents did. Like no, I played it as a kid, so since I grew up with it, it's just those are the characters that I know.
Maybe I should get one.
Yes.
No.
Yes,
They
You
should
should-
wait. They should make a Rubik's Cube game for the Switch. I would buy that.
I
would
think
that
there is
work?
actually one for the Wii.
What would they do?
What?
Just like solve it? Like this
Hold
is
on.
the
I don't-
Rubik's Cube.
I don't know if this is allowed, but I'm gonna search something on my computer
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
You just won't be allowed on the
I'm-
podcast again.
Yeah, I'm
You're gonna
not
get
playing.
banned. You just get like
Oh, am I only allowed to play Minecraft then?
yeah, apparently.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a Wii game called Rubik's Puzzle World.
Rubik's phone. What the heck? Okay.
Yeah.
Carlin,
I-
you have to try that for me. All right.
It's 64% on Metacritic. That's not bad for a Rubik's Wii game.
You have to try that for me, okay, Carlin? Just go get it.
So what is the most updated console you have? Because I just still have the original Wii. It's pretty.
I've
like,
got the Wii U. And
Okay.
that's the other thing. I have Mario Kart with all the DLC for the Wii U. And so if I get a Switch, I don't want to buy everything again. That's my biggest gripe right now. Like I already paid for it, I bought it, and it doesn't transfer over, and so
marketing.
It's called Nintendo wants more money.
it's called
Yeah.
Everyone Wants.
Everyone wants more money.
So
Yeah.
my big question is, can you get a Wii game and put it in the Wii U? Will it work? I've heard it will.
Yes.
This is a cubing
Okay.
podcast,
Yes,
definitely.
that will. Because I had Mario Kart 7 or the Mario Kart Wii, and I played that until Mario Kart 8 came out, and it's a drastic difference. if
Yeah.
you're used to the Wii version, that's got to be the biggest graphical jump. Graphical jump, is that the right word? That's the
Quality.
biggest.
I don't know.
jump.
Don't ask me.
Graphical
All right.
jump, yes or no?
One last Nintendo question.
Okay.
Yay!
Okay. So I just want to see if you know about this. On Coconut Mall, on Mario Kart, on the Wii,
Mhm.
you know about that secret that's off to the right up the first escalator? That, like, secret pathway.
It's been a while since I played that one.
Okay.
But not like cutting through the store.
No, it kind of is. Like, it's the weird thing is it's not a shortcut
yes.
at all.
Yeah, you kind of go behind the wall.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
lost.
And it slows you down. I don't know why it's there. I've always thought that's weird.
It's 'cause it's
Anyways.
Nintendo.
It
Anyways.
was there so we could talk about it on this podcast
Yes.
today.
Yeah, that's
Mission
probably...
accomplished.
And now they're gonna
Podcast
remove it.
Okay, so let's talk about something that I created. It's a new cubing thing, and
I'm
I
ready.
haven't seen anybody else that has done this. And I was gonna call it cube golfing at first, but I'm like, that's
Cube
stupid.
golf?
So I'm gonna call it X looking.
Excellent.
And the reason why is because people will say like, I like one looks this solve like on 2x2 or something. So X just means like you can put any number in there. Anyways, the way it works is you can do it as like 3x3 through whatever. Usually I don't do 2x2 because it's so small. So I'll scramble it, and I will look at it and memorize as much as I can. Like for some people, it's going to be a little bit of the cross, her whole cross plus first F2 pair or something. Then I close my eyes and do that, and then I write like a tally mark down, and then I look again, see how much I can memorize. Close my eyes. Next step.
This is pretty.
And
intense.
Then you count how many looks it took you at the end of the solve.
That's good. Do
Does
you
that
have a
make
time
sense?
limit for your inspection?
Two
I
seconds.
don't. I mean, there could be, but I think for me it's just a practice thing, and you can take as much time as you want.
And then you can like bump it down to 15 because that's like the big boy number.
So that would be a good thing to do. Like if you're doing 3x3, you could have it like a par being 7 because that would be cross. And then because that like if I did that, I would probably do more where I would try to insert the last one with sledgehammer, orient edges a certain way, and then try a COLL or something like that instead of regular. And I like that.
I think I have a record of like 6 on 3x3. I went all the way up through 5x5, and I did square 1. It's just fun.
You did 5x5 with this? How many looks did it take
took forever. It was like in the 20s, maybe even more. I can't remember.
Huh.
It was a lot.
I can see that really helping though with like center building. If you get used to planning ahead, then you can, as you're doing it faster, you'll be able to see those cases that you normally wouldn't have practiced solving like that.
I'm gonna have to try this out. This seems pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited because I've never seen anyone do that, and I'm like, I think I might have created something cool.
Yeah, it makes sense to. Cubing golf kind of makes sense. It's like disc golf, but with cubes.
Yeah,
I love disc golf, dude.
I do too. It's so much fun.
I know.
If you ever come to Michigan, we'll go disc golf. Yeah, I used to do the there was always a state championship in Ludington during Labor Day, and I would always do the state championship. Every week I would play at least at leagues, but I just haven't had time to anymore.
Have you ever like thrown it in like a hole-in-one type of deal?
Yeah, I've got there was
really
okay. So the first one I ever got a hole-in-one, and for people who don't know what disc golf is, I mean it's basically golf, but with I'm going to call it a frisbee, even though I'd get yelled at by any disc golfer.
It's technically
and there's like a
frisbee,
basket,
but it's the same shape as a frisbee, pretty much.
Yeah. So the first one I got, it was like a 210-foot hole. So it was pretty short for disc golf, and no one was around. It was like 8 a.m. My class got canceled in college. So I was like, I'm just gonna throw it in. So no one saw. But after that, my second one, it was at a competition. It was a course I've never played at. It was a basket I couldn't see. And instead of looking for the basket, I'm like, I know it's down there through the trees. And I threw it. It like went through the trees, went through the leaves. And then suddenly we just hear the chains of the basket.
Oh, man.
and like, if you've ever played disc golf, that's the best sound. That's like everyone's text message ringtone should be that sound. And yeah, so that was like, that was my favorite hole-in-one because people were around even though I couldn't see the hole, so it worked really well.
I've only done one, but I could see it, so it's not that crazy.
I've never done a hole-in-one because I usually will just do it around my house instead of actually like driving out to course. I've only been to course a couple times. I'll usually just like aim for a tree and then try to hit it.
Complicated.
But one time I witnessed a hole-in-one, and this dude, it was like a bunch of these like quiet introverts or something, because he did it, and my whole group was freaking out. We're jumping in the air, yelling, and then he's just like whatever, and like walks up to it.
There was at the state championship a few years back. So my wife decided to just caddy for me and hold my bag and walk around with it, and she kind of noted that she didn't want to be where she was like, "Yeah, go Shawn," and then everyone else just sort of stood there. But she flipped that and was like super cheery for everyone. Then anytime I had a good shot, she just sort of like looked at me. I was like, "Nice throw." So, and this was sort of another basket we couldn't see, and so she was around the corner watching where the discs are, and someone in my group threw it, got a hole-in-one, and my wife's like cheering her. She's like, "Oh, that was amazing!" And then I threw and I got close, and she was like, "Good job." So that was like one where like she's super pumped, and I was like, "Okay, like I can do this too. I can throw. I can."
that's how you impress the ladies. You just have to get a hole-in-one.
Yes.
In fact, I heard once, like in the olden days, in the 1800s, they'd have a big disc golf competition, and whoever got it a hole-in-one would marry the princess.
That's true. That is
not true. I just made that.
When I was a kid, that happened back in the 1800s.
Wow.
Anyways, let's talk about I think it's called Inked Game. You did this promo video blog.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That was pretty interesting. That was pretty cool.
So
did they contact you about it?
Yeah. So I mean, I think it was like maybe 2 years ago. I got a mat made from them, and I contacted them first for that and got a mat made and made a video, and hadn't heard anything from them. but it's till maybe about a month ago, someone sent me an email and said, "Hey, we'd like your content. We want you to make a blog post for us." And there wasn't any incentive of like monetary incentive or anything, and so I was like, I don't know, that's cool. I get to write a blog post for in gaming. So they just told me kind of whatever. It was just make something about cubing that, yeah, well, they said cubing and cup stacking. I was like, I don't stack cups, so that's
ew, disgusting.
Yeah, so I tried writing something that would be if I was introducing cubing to people who didn't know. And I feel like from the outside, especially if people are doing, let's say, Magic the Gathering, are really into that, people using the mats for some other thing, like solving a puzzle really fast, probably looks extremely silly to them. So, and it probably is extremely silly. But so I tried writing it where it feels like, yep, this is a thing, this is what we do. And they actually, as a thank you, they did offer a mat, so I designed something, and that, I don't know when it's going to come in the mail. I sent in the artwork for it. It's basically, instead of the previous one, I don't know if you've seen what it was, it's just a backdrop of, I took a photo in Arizona, and so it's just that. Yeah, I've used it as a backdrop in some of the videos, and people are like, oh, that's a cool green screen. Like, no.
It's not a green screen.
So yeah, I have one that's actually going to be, I guess, a SpeedCubeReview one. I didn't want to have a SpeedCubeReview one first for a while because I was actually, speaking of Pokemon, I was actually getting into Pokemon cards again. There was like a bunch of us that had played it, like 20 years ago, and we're like, hey, let's do this again. And so we were playing it, and I was thinking maybe I'd do a channel on that too, and then I just stopped because that got boring after a while. Yeah.
If you did green screen, though, the green side of the cube would look like Utah. So, you know what I mean? What? Like if they accuse you of using, they said like, oh, it's a cool green screen.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you say Utah?
Okay. Is that Arizona? Sorry.
Yeah. Although that would be really cool if when I scrambled it, the green side was Utah, but the backdrop was Arizona. That would take some work. It's just a portal into random place in Utah. It's never the same. Like it's just a random coffee shop at one point. And...
Oh man.
All right, Jeffrey, ask your question.
Okay, I forgot. I gotta get the pages document up, dude, or whatever, because I'm really smart.
Yeah, if using pages, I'll give you credit for that.
Yes. Is that an Apple thing?
Yeah.
That's an Apple.
Boo.
I just spent like 6 hours in Pages doing contracts and stuff like that. So this is not related to cubing at all.
Definitely.
I all my wedding things that I do, I have to write up contracts, do this, and the company I do all that under randomly is like, yep, we're going to stop doing that. So download all your paperwork because it's going to shut down August 9th. It's like, can you do that? Like that's all my stuff. So I just spent most of today trying to recreate all of that. But Pages is great. It's like Microsoft Office, but good.
Oh wow.
It's Microsoft Office, but good. What was the freaking question? I don't understand.
Are you gonna do a 500th video special? Because I know you're like on 496 or 7.
Oh my god, am I? I know I was close.
Wait, let me see.
I just saw recently.
I should do. What should I do for that?
It's a very
what do normal humans do?
496, yeah.
Normal people.
Let's go Google that. What do normal people?
I mean, I could do like just a live stream. I don't know. That's something I'd normally do a giveaway, but I just did a giveaway, so I'm not doing another one.
Do like a live stream, but like do like a stream challenge. I don't know.
Stream challenge.
Oh boy, this is getting crazy.
I just typed in Google, what do normal people do? The first article is called "What do normal people do in their spare time?" Not to be confused with
watch TV.
I'll probably just do a live stream and then just answer questions.
This is what you have to do. You have to become J.R. Cuber or do something similar and solve a 3x3 500 times.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Imagine the views! Solving a Rubik's Cube 500 times.
Or you could do X looking.
Oh!
I could do that.
X looking competition.
I mean, we could also put a scramble up and have like everyone who's in the chat do it along at the same time. I mean,
Oh.
people would probably cheat, so I wouldn't like people would say, "Oh, I did it in 3," and
I
that's
did it in 0.
yeah,
No, you should have them write down their solution. So if it's super low, you could actually like. Well, that wouldn't help though because you don't know how many looks they.
yeah.
That'd be hard.
I mean, I'm already planning. I know on my because I'm at almost 39,000 subscribers. I know when I get to like 50,000, I'll probably do some like a couple $50 gift cards. I think that makes
Solving
sense.
50,000 Rubik's cubes.
That's the other option.
It is the option, dude. It's not the other, it's the option.
Yeah, I'll
I
probably
remember-
just do a live stream, answer questions.
Lego Boise 3 has done some of the most
Interesting.
crazy challenges. Like one, he assembled a 6x6 blindfolded,
No.
and then
I don't know how he did it though. I can't even do it while looking at it.
yeah, he has done. And then he did one where he had a cube, and I think it was for 15,000 subscribers. He was gonna solve it in 15 seconds. Like he'd solve it in like 10 seconds, and then it'd be 15.000, and he had to stop it right then.
Oh yeah, for
And
15.
it took him hours, and yeah.
And,
Yeah, I think my big thing is I want to make sure that there's not silence for too long. Like that's
oh, I hate
whenever I
that.
watch live streams. Yeah, and for even like cubing ones, I'll watch some live streams, and the conversations are good, but then suddenly it's the person solving and it's just quiet. And like when I did a live stream on Facebook the other day, I tried to talk throughout all my solves. I wasn't too worried about the times with it, and so I did a couple 4x4 solves, and I tried to talk the whole time. But if I didn't know what to say, I'm like, okay, and on to the last 8 edges, and now on to F2L. So I like just talk through the solve
Okay,
because
so I got a pre-made F2L pair. Now I am going to do my OLO. Oh wow, I got an anti-soon.
did I turn into a robot?
That's why it would be entertaining.
my
Hilarious.
identity has been revealed.
Wow.
But no, I'll probably do a live stream. Makes sense. I don't know. I've got nothing else. I mean, I could actually. Oh, I could also do
500.
a mosaic. I haven't done a mosaic in like a
Oh
year.
yeah, didn't you buy like 200 MF3s or something like that?
No, it's only 64. They're
same thing.
Guanlong. Yeah. Well, because it had to be. It was either 64. I was going to do 100, but I just stuck at 64, and I have a nice frame for it that my friend made for me, and so, or I paid my friend to make for me. So it can't really expand unless I redo that. But I don't know. Because people have done mosaics, so I want to make sure there's music for it. So I actually thought about doing something Star Wars related when Star Wars comes out, although that's coming up really fast.
Oh gee. When are they gonna stop with the Star Wars thing? Does anyone know?
When it stops making money.
I'm sorry, but they need to stop. It's been a good run, you guys. Like Star Wars, just take a break, guys.
Take a
I
break
can't
and then you
believe
can
I'm
return.
hearing people say this. I mean,
You can take a break and then you can return.
I mean,
Take a
when the
couple years.
prequels came out, we were still like, let's make more. These are bad, but let's keep doing it.
I've never been a Star Wars fan. I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
It's just I can't do it.
You could like end a hang up call right now, Carlin, if you like want to continue with that.
What about you, Sean? You a fan?
I was a huge fan as a kid. I feel like it's just another thing now. Like I'm not craving
Fidget
another Star
spinners.
Wars film. I mean, when the trailer for
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens came out, and I can still remember in my mind when you see Harrison Ford walk into the Millennium Falcon and go, "We're home," and then the music kicks in, and it's like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. And then we saw it, and we're like, okay, that was okay. And then now we saw Luke milk a thing, and now I'm
The thing.
I'm not like eagerly waiting for the next one.
Yeah,
I think
same.
Marvel has sort of replaced that too. I'm kind of just always waiting for the next Marvel film.
Oh yeah, the Black Panther was pretty good.
And I know I'm going to get so much hate from practically everybody. I am not a big superhero movie fan because I feel like they lack sort of creativity in the storyline when it comes to, like, there's always this bad guy, and the superhero tries to fight him on his own, but can't do it, and he gets defeated, and gets his friends together, and they come back and defeat the bad guy. Like, that's pretty much the storyline.
Got him.
And and I know a lot of people are going to be like, no, I love them, but I've never been much of a superhero fan. Iron Man 1 was great.
I've never been a Nintendo fan.
Please.
I mean, as far as superhero films, like that is a lot of it. I would say, I mean, there's certain things. I mean, like I really like Doctor Strange just because of the creativity in. I mean, the fact that there was an entire fight scene where everything was going in reverse except for the people fighting were going in. Like that was a whole weird warp thing.
How will they even do that? I'm so confused.
Yeah, the Black Panther, the arc of the villain was really good. So there's there's a lot of little things, but it's all, I mean, movies are all the same a lot. It's just you got that the story arc, the sort of 3-part story.
Yeah. Okay, so I finally found a question, and this is probably the weirdest. It only took me 10 minutes for this really small question, but I was wondering this. I've been asking all of my friends this for a long time now. Haven't done it to Carlin yet, and it's a really weird question, but what is your favorite sound?
ASMR.
Oh my god.
Tingles, 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 tingles.
It's such a weird sound. A question, sorry. I know, I had to ask it though.
I know this is it's gonna sound super biased, and it is, but only a clicky 3x3 only if I'm the one doing it. If someone else is doing it, it's dude, stop keeping.
I don't know. But what about you, Shawn? Or did he?
I don't know. I'm trying to think about it. Earlier I said about the disc golf chains was this really nice sound, but
yeah.
But that's not. There's something that I'm missing right now. That
bacon.
It's. I am missing bacon. It's been a while since I've had bacon. There's a sound. Oh man, it's. I can't think of what it is, but there's oh shoot. Give me a minute on this. Talk amongst yourselves. Let me.
Do you want to hear my favorite?
Yes, I want to hear it.
Oh, I see. You were waiting for that.
Yeah, I was waiting.
That was.
What? I don't even know what I just heard.
You just heard a pop can opening.
Ah.
That's my favorite sound.
After. Yeah.
I had to do that, but still, yeah. I need you to come up with that because I'm taking basically a survey here. What is the?
I don't know. The sound I'm trying to think of. It's not. I can't think of what it's from, but it's like a weighty thud sound. I'm almost thinking of the sound of a basketball bounce, but it's that, but heavier. There's something specific that is in my mind. I don't know. But just some sort of boom kind of sound.
Boom.
Yes. Yeah, just do that. That'll make a whole podcast of boom,
boom, boom,
boom,
boom.
Okay.
Okay, Carlin, that was my amazing question that we waited 10 minutes for. Are you proud of me? Yes, you are.
Yes, very. Wait, did you actually forget your question, or were you getting a soda can?
No, I had my soda can here the whole entire podcast, just waiting for this to happen.
Okay.
I was trolling. But yeah, I'll come up with another one.
There was a online cubing store. I don't know if it's fine. Cubicle. They had this thing where they were selling a random. I just heard Shawn giggle. Anyways. They had a random $3 and $10 puzzle thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about? I think I saw you had a video on something similar.
I don't know.
But pretty much. It was just called Random Puzzle for $3 and Random Puzzle for $10, and they were slightly used, and they said it was a great deal, and you would buy it, and you didn't know what you were getting, but it would be a random puzzle.
I don't know about this.
I've never seen anyone do
this
that.
This is called
I think
a scam, Carlin.
Cubicle.us. It was official.
You just got scammed.
And someone.
No, I want to say what if you bought the $3 one and you got that new 17x17?
They were losing a lot of money with that. Yeah, I don't really watch anything they post too much anymore, just because I do everything with SpeedCube Shop, so I miss whatever thing they're doing.
Speaking of SpeedCube,
you work there?
No, so yeah, what happened? I mean, before whole reason I really do a lot with SpeedCube Shop is just through the website and everything. Like I talked to almost all the major shops, and they've all mainly sent me stuff at some point, and they all got really mad that I was talking with the other people. And Cameron was the only one who was like, "Oh no, whatever you got to do." Like he was the only one that actually stuck with me and didn't write me an angry email because I was talking to other people. So that's why I kept working with him. And he needed, yes, he needed help with customer service. He needed someone to be doing emails, and so I was like, I can do emails, and I know puzzles. So I remember one of the first ones I ever got. Someone asked about what puzzle they think would be good for their son who's starting out. So I was able to know what is all out there and direct that. But once school started, I thought I would have enough time, and I really didn't. So by like mid-January, I told Cameron, I was like, I think I'm gonna have to go at some point. It's definitely not something I can keep up with. And by mid-February, he found someone to sort of fill in my shoes.
Speaking of SpeedCube Shop, I just thought of this. What are your opinion on their lube naming? Like peppermint lube, that's kind of a joke now. And like,
well, the peppermint smells like peppermint.
Which is like you smell your
why?
cube. Why would you smell your cube? What's wrong with you?
It's like it smells more when you start using it because the silicone,
yeah,
I don't know, breaks down, whatever it is. So it's this nice smell as you're solving your puzzle. I kind of wish I just got the solar lube. I kind of wish it had like a lemon scent to it, honestly. But it doesn't have any of that. But I don't know. The name it's kind of like, I'm gonna relate this to disc golf. So
Oh boy.
Give me the whole podcast disc golf.
Like so there's a company called Prodigy Discs that came out it says more recent, in the past like 5 years maybe, but all their discs are like for putters it's like the or the mid-range, it's like the M1, M2, M3, M4. Yeah. And as you get to a higher number, they get less and less stable, which seems backwards. But anyways, and at first I was like, oh, this is great. But then the numbers got kind of hard to do, and they had to switch one number for another one so they can make room for a different one. And it was really cool. It made it look really nice and professional, but then it was hard to keep track of. And when companies make ones that are called like the Dragon or the Buzz or things like that, even though the names make absolutely no sense often, people can relate the name, the random name they made up. So as far as lube, I mean, there's like 1 through 5, and with SpeedCube Shop, actually I use SpeedCube the weight 6 a lot just because it's really thick, and I just use that to slow puzzles down. I mean, even though people who are starting out might not know the difference between Nebula and Galaxy or Peppermint, but
hamburger lube.
Yeah, but when a lot of people are like, yeah, that Peppermint one I really liked, or for me now Solar I think is my new favorite, next to with Nebula being what I used to use a lot. When you just say I'll use Nebula, it makes a lot more sense, because also different companies that use the weights, like the 1 through 5, they're all different. It's not because that's not an official and exact number. So someone might say, oh yeah, I use weight 2, and then someone else gets weight 2, and then it's not at all what they thought it was. Which, don't get me into to lubrication of puzzles, because there's so much variety, and people think you do this and this and you're done. Like I get at least once a week someone writing me directly saying, okay, how would you set this up? And I'm like, I don't know. What don't you like about it? So I don't know. That's my tangent.
Once in a while, you also get 2 annoying kids that contact you about some random podcast. You know?
I know. I hate that.
I hate it too. It just happens all the time. You know what I'm saying?
No, this is great.
Will your podcast come back?
I hope
please, so. Please.
Because it was great.
Yeah, like I think I might bring it back for the summer, but not always have guests on, because that was, as you probably are finding out, like trying to schedule when guests would be on and get people on. And then also the podcast is, I mean, it's really focused on questions and seeing what they have to say, which is cool and fun and great. Yeah. But and so the thing with my podcast, I think one thing I have to do is just make sure I'm up on what the world records are, things like that. What new puzzles are coming out. I don't like going through every random side puzzle that comes out, but just rumors. I think the big thing I wanted to get with it was the interesting information. Like when I did a thing on, I think the first one I talked about Jessica Friedrich and what her story was.
Oh yeah.
So it's just during the summer I might be able to do it. Maybe I can make it just a summer podcast.
I mean,
I don't know.
as long as we get more episodes, I'm fine.
Oh, I'll see what I can do. I'm already.
Get episodes.
It's already set up with iTunes, so all I literally have to do is just hit publish, and I don't have to. And well, although I did have a good amount of people use iTunes, about 10 times as many went to YouTube. So it's
Okay.
I think
Well,
it's
you're already
just, like,
a YouTuber.
I don't know. People just like YouTube better. But like what Carlin and I were thinking was with iTunes is like, do you really want to watch a YouTube video on like your cellular data while in a car?
Mhm.
Like it uses a lot more than you think. Yeah.
For podcasts, I don't think I listen to any podcasts on YouTube. I always use like a different
app,
platform,
like a podcast
just
app.
because you can download it. Yeah. And then take it offline, and I just prefer that. But I knew that there are a lot of people, especially like younger generations, they use lots of YouTube. So I'm like, we could try it. So yeah, and now we're only on YouTube, and it's working fine. In fact, you know how we always bug people about like leaving questions and everything? We actually have a comment, and he left it like 2 episodes ago, but I didn't realize it until after the last episode was recorded. So I am sorry, it is very late. I will now read it. It is from Stain Sharp. That's his username. And he says ...
Do you want me to read it? I can read it. I have it up.
No, I got
Did
it.
it start with the ...
Here it is. Got
No,
it.
it doesn't.
Okay. He says, Stain Sharp says, I really enjoy your podcast. Here's a quick question slash potential topic. So I consider myself to be a casual cuber. Do you consider yourselves to be casual cubers or hardcore cubers? Your personal definitions of casual slash hardcore can be another fun topic. Also, would you suggest to casual cubers to enjoy cubing more without having to be a hardcore cuber? So first, he wants to know if we consider ourselves casual cubers or hardcore, where the difference is, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Whoa.
I personally would, because I'm trying to think for myself, because I'll practice a lot, but I rarely go to competitions just for time's sake, and I feel like that's the big dividing line is hardcore ones go to the competitions a lot and are constantly and I know most people who go to competitions, the goal isn't to beat everyone else, but just having that like scene might be, because you can practice a lot at home, but I mean when I do that, it's still casual. I'm not just like I don't get angry about my like progress of not getting fast enough.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you, Mr. Carlin?
I would definitely say casual. I mean, here's this. I need to sidetrack, and then I'll come right back to it because it relates to this. Kind of like how Shawn did, like his disc golf analogy. So, just imagine yourself on the beach on a sunny day. No, I'm kidding. I would say casual, just because. I mean, I'm finding myself as I get busier, like, with less and less time. And a lot of people that I have kind of gotten into cubing, and then they'll say, like, oh, well, I just don't have the time anymore. Like, I hear that a lot. People say, oh, I don't have the time. My honest opinion is you can make time for anything. It all depends on how much you want.
You just add more hours to the day.
But it's like, I mean, you always have at least somewhat of free time in the day where you can choose, I could do this or I could do this. So not the full day, obviously, because people have school and work, but it all comes down to how much you like the sport. And when a lot of people say they don't have the time, usually that says to me, like, they're just not into it as much, and that's fine. In fact, just these last 3 weeks, like, I haven't been keeping very much because I have chosen to spend my time on other things, and plus I have been getting busier. It's a result of both, to be honest. But so I would say where I'm at right now, casual. I mean, I try to go to competitions as much as possible, but I'm not like seriously caring about my times or trying to get faster. And
For me, I'm like in the middle. right? Between casual and hardcore. So I'm at that point where I'm just get me a sub 10 in competition and I'm fine. All right, then I'll just stop competing in 3x3. So I'm like trying hard enough to get that, but don't really care if I don't. Which is kind of so contradicting that it's really confusing. But just deal with it.
Well, on that, oh, sorry, go on.
But like of course I really try my best to podium, but I mean like I'm not like I need to podium or I'm gonna not eat for a week.
So that seems like an extreme reaction.
It is an extreme reaction.
Yeah, the second party said about having fun. I mean that really should be the goal for anybody. Even if your goal is to be the best in the world, if you're not having fun with it, don't do it. I mean, I can't imagine any pro basketball player who's like, I hate basketball, but I want to be the best. Like, no one does that. So it's like, and if, I don't know, I think what's really hard for people is if they want to try to get faster and faster, that time difference is going to get less and less, and the progress is not going to be as obvious. And especially people get frustrated when their solve time isn't better than what their average is.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the problem. That's your average, meaning that half the time your solves are slower than that. And so people are always, I feel like, often getting frustrated because they're not better than the middle of the road time, which is gonna make you a little upset half the time. So you just have to just roll with it.
Oh, that was an intense reaction.
I mean, I remember you saying, Shawn, once that you, like, once you got your first sub 10 single, you were like, okay, I'm content with that. I'm going to try other methods. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, because, like, I have this PB single of, like, 11.3. And just the other day, like, I got a 12. And I know, like, I'm hoping it'll come soon. But it'll be the point where, yeah, I'd be willing to try other stuff. And because saying, like, part of it is just, like, if you can say you solve a Rubik's Cube under 10 seconds, that's pretty cool. And I've never, like...
Right.
I know, it is...
I'm pretty sure if you can solve Rubik's Cube at all, that's big bragging rights.
Yeah, like, every solve is a world record, like,
every solve to a non-cuber is world record single.
But I've been kind of in a rut lately, like, time-wise, and I'm just doing my best not to care, because I know that eventually you'll kind of move past it as you get, like, more efficient at F2L. Because I think F2L is the most important aspect of a 3x3 solve.
Yep.
That's my opinion on it. And I am also currently trying to learn full OLL, but I know it's not going to help as much as efficient F2L. I mean, that's, like, the most important thing.
Yeah, it's one of my... I think I did a video on it, but I want to do something again. I feel like, speaking of how I started this talking about, like, knowing what words mean, this is sort of, I mean, the word that people use for algorithmic F2L, they use, like, advanced F2L. And I get so frustrated by that because so many beginners think that doing intuitive is, like, the beginner method. When it's
the opposite.
Yeah, like, I actually, the video that was supposed to be the one that was the... Look how this is just intuitive was the Why is Felix So Fast video, where I just did a walkthrough of his world record average, and it was just showing, look, he just sets it up, inserts it, sets it up, inserts it, sets it up, and that was like the whole thing. Which, yeah, I don't think that came across in the video.
I kind of got the point. I don't know about Carlin. He doesn't get a lot of points. So.
Wow. I will have to say, you came out with a video a while back. It's one of your most viewed ones. It's on the for the class layer. And I remember when I was learning CFOP, like, that video, like, saved my life. It was just like, wow, like, you explained it in, like, such a way that made sense, especially when if you have the dot case and you're trying to get across on the yellow side, instead of doing F sexy move, F prime, and then, like, lowercase f sexy move, you just did an S move. And I'm like, oh, that's way more efficient. And I still use that. And then you did a case where if you have the headlights in the back, you do that one algorithm that's pretty unique. And I kept looking at the algorithm, and I took that algorithm and I switched it to doing an X prime.
Mm-hmm.
So that means like the yellow side's facing towards you. And then I converted the algorithm so you're doing like D, R, and U moves instead of doing B moves, because that's how you taught it, and that was really hard for me. And then I figured out that is an A perm, and the A perm, when you like do it on the bottom, you have to like double flick a D move, and it was super hard. So then I used that as my A perm algorithm, and then I reversed that for the other A perm algorithm. So just because of like that video, I've like figured out a lot of stuff, and it's just been super helpful.
Yeah, what you were saying with that last part, that's probably the most complaints I get from people who know what they're doing, is that I don't usually throw in any rotations, and I try to avoid wide moves a lot just because it's supposed to be teaching people. So like that A perm, it can be done without, I mean, you usually have to regrip your hands before the algorithm starts, but the whole thing's done without regripping. And either doing like an X move, or like, let's say if it's the one that I have written starting as R prime F, R prime B2, a lot of them they've written as doing a wide L prime move to start, and then that sort of does it. And in the way I feel like I like to explain it is just teaching the very basic one, and then it's kind of intuitive if you're trying to figure out how to not rotate the puzzle, that you just start to hold it a different way.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's not going to be intuitive for everyone, but the idea that give someone the basics, they're just F, like R prime F, R prime B2, such and such, and then later on, okay, here's how you hold the cube. Instead of, okay, do an X move, hold this in the back, do a wide move. And I feel like, yeah, for people starting out, it's finding that balance. I mean, I just redid my beginner tutorial because I realized I don't teach it the way that it shows in the original one I made. And
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and for the edge, the second layer, instead of doing what would be intuitive of like, what's a U prime R prime to pair it up, and then U prime F prime U R to insert, or a rotation, whatever that would be. That everyone who I've taught, I've shown that, and then I've shown an algorithm I actually saw from Chris Olson's video where it was like R prime U prime R prime U prime R prime U prime R U R U. And and everyone who I've shown both to, they're like, okay, I understand why the other one works, but I'd rather do this one. And it doesn't, I mean, even to me, I usually don't see what's happening or why the edge is inserted now, but I just know it works. So, and I've gotten people who are like, well, it's not intuitive. Like, yeah, I know, but it's a beginner thing, and they'll figure it out and go from there. So it's always weird. It's finding this balance. And there's always going to be people who it makes sense for one person and not for another. And luckily, there's more than just me on YouTube.
One thing I've known that I've found out is important is like when I like teach people, I naturally have this want to like say, oh, and here's this and this and this, and all that stuff is what I learned on my own from just sitting down and just taking time and figuring stuff out. And I realized like I need to teach them the basics and then let them do that part, because when you're learning stuff on your own, that's when you start remembering stuff. It's not like if you're like stuck on your time and then you just keep doing the same thing over and over and hope to get faster times, likely you need to sit down and like just like figure stuff out and figure out why stuff is working, and then like slightly adjust that to make it faster, so you're actually learning stuff instead of just like watching a YouTube video. Yeah,
definitely. There's 2 times I can remember specifically that one I spent I think 2 hours sitting with the cube and just inserting F12 pair in the back, taking it out, inserting on the other side, taking that out, seeing what happens when I do sledgehammer. And I was finding out all these techniques or algorithms on my own that like, oh, if I do sledgehammer here, that's just going to set it up. And there's actually, when I sent a video to Felix on his Cube Skills site for like the premium membership where he'll analyze it. And so I sent him an average of 5, and I did one of those things that I kind of came up with on my own, where I did a sledgehammer and inserted. And he pointed out, he's like, I don't know if you plan to do that, but that was good. And then when I started learning COLL, I mean, I took one algorithm and I was like, oh, well, what if? I mean, the standard one where it's OLL where you just have two headlights, like everything is solved, but you have two headlights. It's like R2D R something like that. Yeah. So I was like, well, if I did that, it gave me the case where there was like diagonal. I don't know what the actual name of that case is for the corners. And so I was like, well, if I do that algorithm backwards, it solves that one. And then I was like, well, if I do it with my left hand, it solves that with my left. So it's like I took care of 4 COLLs just by doing the one and trying it reverse and my left.
It's weird how things work like that.
Yeah.
And especially one of the coolest F2L things I've found out is when like the F2L pair is in the right slot, but it's just like flipped upside down, and then you do like the U prime and sledgehammer, and then you just like insert it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that is like one of the coolest things. Like,
it feels so good because it looks kind of complicated. Like, how is it supposed to get in here? And like, done.
Cubing looks crazy from the outside. If you ever cube and just like stand in front of a mirror and solve, and you don't have to like solve through the mirror, but
I've done that.
What looks slow motion in my hands, like what I can see, I look at the mirror, I was like, this is insane. How am I moving so fast?
You see Felix slow motion.
I do have a question for you guys when it comes to, you know how you do sexy move 3 times to get that like one pair in that it's like,
yeah.
What happens if that is in like the diagonal slot? Because normally I'll just do it like 2 times and then like a U prime, then insert it, and it's just like really inconvenient case. Like, is there a faster way to do that?
There is something that someone showed me. I honestly still like to, I know what you're talking about. I still like to do like, instead of doing sexy move, I'll do kind of the backwards. I'll do U prime R prime, because that'll give you an actual like, it'll be paired up already with you if you do it that way. One, I just feel like I can do it faster, but it'll also be paired up so you can insert sledgehammer, do other things. But I'm gonna cube. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no.
But when you do that, like if you need to insert it in the opposite side and you do U prime R prime twice, then you could just do, like, let's say if I did on the front right and it needs to do on the back left, then you just
L prime U2L.
Yeah, and that works. There is a way. Oh man, it was something like so if let's say that's on the front right and needs to go on the back left. I think it was something along the lines of where you do U2, so you get a sort of they're at the opposite corners, and then it's like L2 wide U prime, L2 wide U, L2. Yep, that did it.
Huh.
Okay, so yeah, so it's you put the corner above where it needs to go. So usually a U2 move, and then if the corner's in the front right and needs to go in the back left, it's L2 wide U prime, L2 wide U, L2, and you can do that on any side. Does that make sense at all? What I just said?
I got half of it.
You'll have to send me that algorithm because I want to try it out. One big problem I have, and I don't know if anybody else has this problem or like if there's a simple fix, but I will, like if I do an average 100, it will probably happen multiple times. I will solve a yellow cross onto the white side or vice versa, and I start putting the pairs in, and it's like opposite, and I'm like, oh no, and then it's not an easy fix. Like you can't just do like an S2 M2, and then it's just like really stinks, and I don't know like. Am I the only one who makes that mistake like frequently?
Yeah, I think you are.
No, I know what you mean. I've done that before, or like I'll insert 2 F12 pairs at the wrong spot.
That's something I do. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think, like, if you do that, I think if you don't insert any F12 pairs, I guess if you do, the F12 pair is just going to be sticking up. But if you do like an M2 and then a Y move, and then another M2. That should solve it.
I don't have a cube on me, so I can't. I don't know.
Do you mean like an M2 S2?
Yeah.
Okay. But then you still have your F2L pairs that are awkwardly upside down, but in position.
Well, that's where you do the really cool U move sledgehammer insert, and then you like look at the person that's impressed by your super awesome cube skills, and you wink, and then you keep on going.
Gotta give him the
Pro
the
tip.
wink.
Oh yeah, okay. I saw Princess Bride last night for the first time.
my
I know this
gosh.
is super random. Have you guys seen it?
Yes.
Years
Are you a
ago.
fan?
Not.
I
No,
thought
not
it-
really.
Is that? I always get that confused with Robin Hood Men in Tights.
I don't. Wait.
No, it's not that.
You know Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Nope.
Nope.
Oh, that I think was good. I I don't want to say it was good, but it was like as a kid, it's like Ace Ventura. It was great as a kid, but you watch again, you're like, oh, this did not age well at
Well,
all.
like every movie.
But yeah, so I'm pretty sure I liked it because I think I liked that and Robin Hood Men in Tights, but I can't remember which is which because I get scenes confused with those.
I always
Wow,
forget what
okay.
happens in the music in that movie. This is definitely cubing related. Okay.
That's okay.
We have
Um,
not we got to cubing related at one point.
We
Honestly, all
nearly
this-
got there.
All this is a podcast where cubers talk about whatever, sometimes cubing, which is more convenient, but it's
20% of the time cubing related.
That's
That's our slogan.
But yeah, everybody was like, "You gotta watch this movie; it's so good." And then I watched it, I'm like, "Okay." Like I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a comedy, or like action, or I was just so confused. I'm like, I don't know why everyone likes this so much. I don't get it.
There's like some whole fandom about it.
Okay. Oh, by the way, in the Kit Clements episode, did you hear when I was failing to grasp the Michigan hand thing? I'm sure you were laughing out loud at me.
Yeah.
I actually wait, which episode was that?
The Kit Clement.
It was just the last one.
Oh, I must have zoned out at that point.
Okay, because I was talking about like the Michigan, like they say I'm from here, and they point at their
Yeah.
hand, and I've never understood it, and I made this silly attempt. I was like, this is my guess. I think it's like all the 5 fingers represent the 5 lakes, like the 5 Great
Oh.
Lakes, and he kind of
No.
like laughed in my face. He's like, "Have you ever looked at a map?" And then I pulled it up.
That was so
I'm like,
funny.
oh, yeah.
Wait,
I
how
get
many?
it.
I think the last episode I listened to was iTunes. So have there been more than just the ones on iTunes?
They're just on YouTube. There's one
Yeah,
more on
there's one on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Because
Okay, so that I missed that one. No, there was actually at my school there was a student from Brazil, and I tried to explain to her, and she seemed really confused. I was like, "It looks like Michigan. I don't understand why." And like 3 months goes by towards the end of the semester, and suddenly she just looks and she's like, "Oh, I get it now." Like I didn't even realize she didn't get it until now.
But
Yeah,
there's multiple parts to Michigan. So what if you're from like the more northern? You know what I mean?
The UP, the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
you're screwed.
So people take their other hand. It doesn't quite look as well as much as it. Actually, let me see if I can. I'm gonna type again. Michigan hand map. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna send you a map of what. Oh, come on, Google. Let me just look at the image. Don't
I'll
make
just
it.
type it in.
Yeah, type in Michigan hand map, and the first
I
one
see
is.
it. I get what you mean.
Just trying to spell Michigan correctly.
Yeah, the thing is, people usually Michigan. I mean, the UP is not
Oh,
as
that's a
populated.
really sorry attempt. Well, how do you point at it? Because you can't say I'm from here unless you have a
use
third
your nose.
You
hand. You lick it.
no, you like I don't know if I've ever actually had to make the UP hand. Like I don't.
I don't
reference
think anyone
the,
lives there, Carlin.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably
everything
not.
I do is around like Detroit, Lansing area, so it's. I mean, once you get into the fingers, then I'm not. There's not really much over there that I have to reference.
Yeah, I was actually in Michigan last summer,
Okay.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I was on this 12-day trip. We visited like 9 states. It was pretty cool. We did drove like all across. We drove down to. We flew in Chicago, and then we ended up in Georgia, and we just like drove along. It was pretty cool.
Hey, Carlin, can you just back up? We flew into Chicago, and then we ended up in Georgia. Like, we just poof in Georgia.
Well, we had these very kind people who let us like fly over and see them, and then for the rest of the trip, we just said let's visit some other states. So we like drove all the way around, and being from like Oregon, I was surprised about how flat everything is. Like, really flat.
A lot of farmlands that. Well, even so, I go to school at Central Michigan, which is in Mount Pleasant, and there's no mountain there.
What?
So it's yeah.
What?
I mean, I don't know why.
Wow.
I honestly don't know why it's called Mount Pleasant. I think it was a mining town, so maybe it was like referencing that. But like that was like
Just
Well,
long time ago.
here in Oregon, there's a town called Christmas Valley, and it has nothing to do with Christmas. It's very dry, like all sagebrush and dust.
we have a lot of
I'm
interest.
confused by this.
Wait, Christmas Valley, and a lot of people they're like, "Oh, Oregon, it rains so much." That's only like the 20% of the left sliver of Oregon, and all the rest is like pretty dry.
Which
and
is weird.
It actually doesn't rain that much unless you're like in Portland or like on the more.
Oregon
other
is a
side.
weird place with like whoever names the cities here is like there's some like we have dull Oregon. Dull Oregon. How lame is that?
Yeah, I was in Oregon a few years ago. Seattle, it did rain like every day for about 20 minutes at least, and then it stopped.
Dull Oregon. Man.
Have you been to Oregon before?
You literally
Just that one time.
My God.
Yeah, I went to Seattle for my wife and I for a honeymoon. We took a train trip, went out to Seattle, then down to Oregon, down to San Francisco, then through the canyons back to Chicago.
Whoa, that's pretty crazy.
Well, if you ever come again or we go to Michigan, we were going to play some disc golf.
Yeah.
and then go a cubing competition, and then break world record.
Yep.
Only if it's
so
FMC will I do that.
I want to get into FMC. I've seen a couple of your videos. It sounds fun. I did one
It's
attempt.
so much fun.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, I tried it
locked out.
once, and I think I got like a 44 on my first attempt
That's
because I
good.
got like a PLL skip, so that helped a lot. And
I mean,
I
that-
would do it more. It
Yeah,
sounds fun.
that's if you like doing puzzles, like if you're a person who likes doing something like Sudoku, it feels like that because then it feels like a puzzle again. You're trying to work out how you make these things fit in. And I mean, if you just do basic block building and then, but I actually don't do this too much. I probably should, but where you just like spam the final piece and try to like fit that in different ways and try different, you can usually end up with some sort of PLL skip or something like that. I mean, inserting a commutator isn't going to do, I mean, it's going to help out if you really know how to do that, but it's not, I mean, people stress out too much about that. I think my favorite thing is just finding inverse solutions and finding the solution to the inverse of the scramble.
Okay. Yeah, because you talked about that, and I thought it was interesting. Like, I'm actually surprised. This may sound stupid because I'm not very into FMC currently. Like, I don't know all how it works, but I'm surprised they have that legal where you can use the scramble to your advantage. I mean, you're not like using the scramble as a solution, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it just sounds really weird.
I mean, I think because the biggest thing is just that you're not, your solution is not the scramble itself backwards or something like that. So I think it's just however you can solve the puzzle without just doing the scramble backwards. Because, I mean, I can see what you're saying by it doesn't make sense if you see a solve that used anything really inverse. It doesn't make much sense because it just looks scrambled, 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 scrambled. Oh, solve, the cube is completed.
Yep.
But since I think the big thing is, I could still talk through and say, here's how I made a block, here's how I did this, here's how I oriented the edges, and then so you can still describe it in that way, even though it doesn't quite make sense watching it straight through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
FMC is always so confusing to me. I don't know why. It's like I can never get it. Like inverse scrambles. What?
I think a lot of it's the terms. I mean, the hardest thing for me was skeleton. They're like, "Yep, this is my skeleton." I'm like, "What's a skeleton?" oh yeah, your skeleton is just your solution before you insert commutators. I'm like, so if I don't do commutators, is my whole solve a skeleton? I don't know. I don't like that term. I just want it to, I understand what it means now, but it's like just call it what it is. It's just your solution before the commutator, before inserting other things. I don't know. I think for me, it's just all the different options and things you can do. Like and you'll look at solution. Like even okay, when I got my 22, there was someone else literally in the room who got the exact same solution, and someone else in like I think Oregon maybe that got the same. There's 3 of us that got the same solution, and there was someone else in the room where I was at in Michigan who I think he's like I don't know if he is anymore, but he was like second in the country for average, and just really good at FMC. And when I got a 22, I think he got like a 28 or 29, something like that.
Correct.
And I'm showing the solution, and he was just shaking his head about, because I just basically did a ZZ solve. And he was saying that when I did the EO line, he was like, I would never have made the line. I would have oriented edges, but then I would have tried block building. And so because I did something that would normally be less effective, he was like, I would never have done that, and I would never have seen that.
Huh.
Yeah, basically this is how I do FNC. I sit down and do the scramble, and then I just solve it, and then I write down my solution. Boom. That's it. Nothing fancy.
Wow. So I do have... No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I was like, just the biggest thing, like, don't do cross. Try to pair things up.
Okay, so and what I mean by solving, I mean I just solve it with the most efficient way possible. Like I don't do cross. I make like a 2x2 or something like that.
Okay.
But I just solve it with whatever I see.
That works.
And I get like 45, so I'm like, okay.
Honestly, like 45's not bad. If you can get an average of that, you're doing pretty fine. I mean, a lot of people, even just a general average, like they don't understand how to get below a 50. So as long as if even being below 50 is just taking some thought with it, it's getting below 40 average, which really starts being understanding much more detail of how to find these things, and then below 30 average is just insane.
Yep.
Well, I have 2 more questions, and we'll let you get out of here. It's been awesome having you on.
I'm free.
First of all, I want to do blind, but it seems so overwhelming. I've tried many attempts at learning it and then shortly give up afterwards, because not only am I having trouble learning how to do it, but just like memorizing, and I'm sure everyone struggles with that at first. And I talked to what's his name, Jeffrey Max Hillard?
Yep, Max Hillard.
Yeah, he currently has the world record for blind, and he lives in Washington. So he came to an Oregon competition, and I was talking to him, and he says, like how do you memorize it? Because, like, he was getting, like, 24-second solves. The world record he has, I think, is, like, 15 or 16?
I think it's 16.
Okay. And he was like, well, for half of it, I do the letters, and then the other half, I do sounds. And he was kind of going into that. But he didn't go over how he memorizes it so fast. And I don't understand how that's possible. And I know that you do blind.
Yeah, I mean, now I don't practice it enough. I actually just tried doing multi-blind for the first time in probably half a year, and it was a failure. Like my brain was not set up to remember all of that. As far as just memorizing, like, that takes just doing it over and over and getting used to. Like, when I started, I just solved corners, and then I tried doing edges and solved edges, and I got really lucky. I mean, the first time I ever tried doing a full solve, I did solve it, but then I think it was like 10 in a row that I didn't solve. And it was about 10 minutes to memorize for sure. The first competition, they asked if I needed a stopwatch because the stack mat, whatever it is, something. The timer, it doesn't go over 10 minutes. So they had to use a stopwatch because I was at like 12 or 13 minutes. Now, like, I'll usually get it down in just over a minute. And the biggest thing is when you look at a piece to immediately go, that's J. Or look at a piece and go, that's S. And not go, okay, this is S. And then you go to the next one, and then that is da-da-da-da-da. And then what happens is also you're spending so much time trying to remember what each letter is. Then you start forgetting what the other ones were, so you have to go back and retell yourself. But when you're memorizing it in under 10 seconds even, or under a minute even, you're memorizing it fast enough to where you don't have to go back. Like I felt like I was stuck around 4 minutes, and I went on the blind group and asked them, what's to do, and everyone was like, don't check. What's the word they use? I forgot. But it was like, don't go through and try to check your letters. Just try it and go. Yeah, and it did result in a few more failures at first because I didn't get, but I actually started getting a lot faster and more solves later on because even I was getting used to just doing it once, solving it, and then I think I know what he means by doing sounds and like that. Like, so I'll check corners first, and I'll create words and then make an image out of that. And so that's sort of like a long-term memory. And then for edges, you still are doing letters, but it's like, if it's like K, S, L, P, something like that, you're just doing like kiss, lip. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't even have to be a word. It's just like ch, ka, su, la. And like on
how do you memorize that? Like, yeah, I don't even understand how you would do that.
For edges, because you'll probably have about 6 sounds. And so you can even try this without a cube, just make up 6 sounds, be like pa, cha, ka,
goo, gaga.
La. Yeah, something like that. And then try to re-say them. And you'll probably do pretty well of reciting the exact 6 that you just did. And so the reason why it sounds and it's not trying to create an image is just because then when I solve edges first. So I'll try to get those sounds just as fast as I can so I don't forget it, solve the edges, and then, okay, corners. I've already memorized so I have the image for the corners. So you almost can't do sounds until you get a little bit faster. So for now, I would just say create images or think of words, create an image in your head, and then go that, even if it takes 10 minutes. There was a video, I don't know if it was Noah Arthur's or who but the cube was apart and there were just pieces, and his whole thing was to grab a piece and go, that's Q, or grab a piece. And so it's not even in the cube, but looking at like the white orange edge and being able to look at the orange and say what letter it is without even the cube being together. That, he said, was a good way of practicing to remember those letters, which that's hard for me to do. So maybe I should be practicing that more.
There's actually someone who did a TED Talk on this. I don't know if you guys have seen it, on blind solving and how it works. And do you know what TED Talks are?
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing this now.
Yeah, if you just type in like TED Talks, like Rubik's Cube blindfold or something, and I don't even know who the guy is. I might now. I haven't seen it for a while. But he did it really well done. He called someone up on stage and he's like, okay, you memorize this part, and the way he explained it was amazing. Like, he said, so how do you go through your day? Like, do you wake up in the morning? What's the first thing you do?
Don't spoil it, Carlin. Jeez.
I know, I won't. She's like, I eat cereal. He's like, what cereal do you eat? And then he started like showing her how you remember certain letters, and then it was a spectacular like talk. Like, it was great. But I guess for me, I'm pretty indecisive when it comes to choices, so it's hard for me to quickly put together a story in my mind.
Yeah, I have a problem where like I'll think of a letter and be like, oh, that'd be cool if I used this word instead of this word, because that'd be a funny picture.
Anyways, I have one last question. I think it's a good finale question.
Okay.
Oh boy, I'm worried.
I honestly think, whatever it is, there is a similarity between cubing and being musically talented. Because
my mom
I have
always
talked
says that
to many people, and they're like, oh yeah, I play music too. And I play a couple instruments and enjoy singing, and I love listening to music. And do you think there's anything to that? Because if not, it is the most ironic, uncanny
It's so
thing
weird.
ever.
Everyone I've met has been a musician. Every cuber.
So yeah, so this is my thought with this. I feel like, well, first off, I would say that most of the time people who cube were playing an instrument or doing stuff with music before they got into cubing, age-wise and that. And it might be just an interest in math or puzzles or things like that, but I almost feel like it's more of the drive. Like, if someone does music, they might set a schedule for practicing. They might know how to practice, like know that it's not going to be immediate. You have to do slow, like more slower work, and that, I mean, I relate. I'll have a cube usually in my lesson studio, and I'll explain how when you're doing a scale, you're doing this same motion over and over, working on being in tune. So when you do it faster, or you're doing it in a song, in a piece of music, you just do it. And so doing a slower movement on a cube, you're working on that pattern, working on that algorithm, so that when it comes into a solve, you just do it without thinking. And so there's probably there definitely is some sort of connection of you are interested in music and whatever synapses in the brain or muscle development you have in your fingers that works towards the cube. But I think it might just have to be people who did music or do music know how to practice much more than someone who has never played an instrument in their life, and so they know how to translate that to practicing the cube more.
Yeah, something like that.
What music do you listen to?
Rap.
I used to listen to a lot of it's hard to listen to everything. I mean, because I'm going back to school for music, I was working on a viola piece called Morpheus by Rebecca Clark. So literally I spent almost every day about 40 minutes of it just listening to that song on loop, just to like have it in my brain, which took a lot of time off of other things. And I listen to podcasts. It really varies. I think the only thing I really cannot really get into is just country music.
Same.
And
bleh.
yes, so like other things. I mean, I think recently I listened to the Kendrick Lamar album a lot because that's been big, especially with the was it the Pulitzer? No, he won something. But yeah, I don't know. It really varies, but especially because I used to DJ, so I'd be listening to all this music that I wouldn't normally listen to. And since I'd be a wedding DJ, it's not like just random like techno music. It's usually pop songs.
Okay.
Have you heard of Logic?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Okay, so you listen to some hip hop.
Yes.
Okay.
I have one really quick question. Favorite genre of music? Or like type?
Too hard.
This is quick. It's literally the fastest thing
I have
in
an
the
answer.
world.
That is going to be hard because, I mean,
gosh.
as a violinist or a viola, like I listen to classical a lot because I have to. But I would say the one, every so often I'll find a band, I was like, oh, that's different. But it always seems to be like an indie British band. So we'll say indie British. There's got to be a better word.
That's the most specific genre I've ever heard of in my life.
I enjoy indie pop a lot, but I would have to say, so I'm a huge 21 Pilots fan, and I like what they do because they're not really constrained by genre. Like, they will even like take a song and they will drastically slow down the tempo from like a pop rock song to like reggae, and they just will like break the rules of songwriting, but it still sounds good. And it's like, I really like that because they think that they don't want to be labeled by like a certain genre, like, oh, this is like what we are, and they explore all different kinds of stuff. And so I like that genre, pretty much the genre of not being in a genre.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, have any of you heard of the Piano Guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That type of music and classical to romantic period. That's what I like. And pretty much anything that sounds good. There you go. Anything that sounds good. That's how you answer the question.
Anything that sounds good.
Oh.
Side note, I'm going to extend this podcast a little bit longer.
Oh,
And there's
no,
a
here we
motorcycle
go.
driving by. So, no, like, I was in a car with someone, and I have never been so upset at something in my life because there's a song on, and it was, I forgot what it was, but the lyrics were just like, they were just bad lyrics. They just, not like dirty, they were just bad. Like not poetic, not just no, and there was no music valid, like there was no harmonic motion, and so I was like, this song is what do you like about this? And she's like, I just like a song that has a good beat. And I'm like, no,
says.
that is the worst reason. I mean, like, that is, I know. I mean, I can put a good beat behind Mozart. That doesn't mean you're going to listen to it. Like, that's.
What does that mean? Like, yeah.
Carlin just
I know what you
died.
mean. Yeah, there are some
Carlin
things
just gave up.
that just tick me off. Like some things people say about music. Like
Oh.
I don't think I've heard a musically talented person say, I like this song because it has a good beat. if that makes sense. Because like I feel like people will understand it's more than just the beat. Like there's many aspects of a song. Like
Yeah,
recently,
and I'm not gonna like someone can enjoy something, but
right, yeah.
there's that line where I'm like, that's
Enjoy it
just
because of its beat. Yeah.
So have you
there's-
written a song?
I've written things a lot for like string instruments, things like that. Actually, for this past semester, I had to write a fugue in the style of Bach and a sonata in the style of Mozart. So I have written things. I've now written I do have a rap album that I'm dropping soon. No, don't.
Wait, well, okay, I was like, what?
Oh wait, what? I was like,
No.
cubing rap album?
A lot of stuff that I write though, it's just like this is actually even a lot of the music, the weird MIDI files and some of my videos are just things that I've put together. Like in my podcast, that the audio that's in the beginning and the end is just something that I randomly threw together. So I guess that's me writing my own song. I just made sure it had a good beat, really.
Because it.
Ha ha ha. Oh, by the way, fun fact. I don't even listen to Logic that much, but he does solve Rubik's cubes.
Oh yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that, and he's like
I saw a video of him
right?
like doing that while he was freestyling.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because, in fact, he actually said, like, as he was like freestyling, he's like, "Oh, you guys, when you're scrambling it, you like twisted the corner. I got to twist it back." And I watched closely, and he twisted it, and then when he got to the last layer, he twisted it back. And what had happened? This is my theory. Is he put an F12 pair in with the wrong edge, and he thought it was solved, so then he took it out, put it back in. Then when he got to the last layer, there were only 3 yellow edges, so then he took it back out and put it back in.
Or he had
That makes sense.
my thinking then is that maybe he had a couple things that he like planned to say in his freestyle rap, and he like did that, and then he's like, okay, I gotta switch it back though because I made this thing that I was going to say.
It's a whole conspiracy
Oh,
theory.
man.
That's my
By the way,
Logic voice.
Oh my god. Oh my.
One more thing.
Wow.
You
That
have a
book.
video, and it is my favorite video that you have. It is called Unboxing My New Shed. That was the
I
best.
think I've
It's like
seen
the
it.
enter.
This sounds so familiar, dude.
I
On a journey with you.
I was debating if I was gonna put that up. I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna find in here, and I'm so glad there was that scythe in there.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that video. Oh,
what was even funny with that is, so I sent it to our realtor who helped us get the house, and I was like, what do I even do with this? She's like, oh, hang it up as like a decoration. I was like, no, I'm not hanging a rusty scythe up on my wall. Like that is just asking for either me to be decapitated or be sued by someone.
like
So we still have it though. It's still in the shed. Maybe
That
I'll
was- that's like the funniest video because like oh, a new video from SpeedCubeReview must be a new cubing review and it's unboxing a new shed video. It's so unexpected.
Oh, it's been great having you on.
Yeah,
thank you.
we'll send the money in
And-
PayPal.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'll-
give us lots of cash. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Well, in
if
fact-
you wanna send money to the podcast, just go to PayPal and go to sean.bouquet@gmail.com.
No. In fact, I don't know if you remember this, Jeffrey, but we were contacting our last interview dude, Kit Clement. He's a WCA delegate, and at the end of the email, he just said, "Jeffrey says, P.S. Can I have $20?" Because I dared him to, and then he never said anything back about it, which was kind of weird, but it was funny.
Why aren't they gonna say he
Anyways.
just suddenly sent over $20?
How
I
do
got
you know?
counts.
Maybe I'm $20 richer and you don't even know it.
If you have any comments or questions, contact us at theinteractivecubers@gmail.com or YouTube comments, that works too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean, thanks for
Cool.
joining us. It's been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Goodbye.
This was the awkward thing ever.